You're listening to the Perth Property Show, Australia's only weekly property podcast by West Australian experts for West Australian listeners. Catch your latest episode every Monday at 7 a.m.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Perth Property Show. My name's Trent Fleskens, your host. As always, this week we are talking Proptech with the General Manager of Proptech Hub WA, Cullum Ashton. He is in the room today. Ash, thanks for coming in, mate.
Thank you for having me.
It's fantastic to finally get a chat with you. I think it's been a long time coming because we've all as an industry been watching some really cool West Australian, especially based PropTech businesses start to get off the ground in certain ways, some more successful than others, obviously, and a lot of cool stories that you see on business news. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I thought today would be a good opportunity to sit back a little bit, chill out after the last couple of weeks of the Medium Density Code and the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act being pushed back and or repealed, and have a bit of a fun chat about the cool things we're doing in Western Australia, and maybe pat some people on the back in WA who are having a crack, and hopefully some of these services, if they aren't already, will become national, international services that we can be really proud of.
Sounds like a good idea. In June, we declared that within 365 days, Perth will be the PropTech capital of Australia.
That's a big call.
It's a big call. We're getting
possible?
there. There is some feisty competition over East, but I think we can hold our own on this one. And I think next year in June, we'll be able to do it at our awards and champion ceremony. So let's give it a crack, eh?
Ash, let's talk a little bit about the hub first and just the practicalities of being a member, why you would become a member. Is it possible? Is it a very tight-knit club? Is it something where anyone can be a member and in different levels? Let me hand the mic over to you and talk a little bit about maybe how you started, when it started, why it started, and then what the benefits are to the members from.
So it's not a secret club. It's very open. It's not private. We love everyone that's in the property and construction space. The innovators, we give them a go, give them a platform to connect to industry. And for industry, they can pull in this innovation and get some competitive advantage. So we've been going for a few years now, and it came out of West Tech Fest, which is WA's largest tech conference.
Oh, I've never been to this.
Oh, mate, you got to go. This year, it starts on the 4th of December, goes to the 9th of December. The state government gave them $500,000 to put on a great conference.
And this is not just property at this festival, is it?
No, it's all tech.
Yeah.
So all the different tech sectors you can think of, marine, space, agriculture.
You're just propped up next to Charlie Gunningham with the ideas, man, who's been on the podcast maybe
funny?
A couple of years ago.
Charlie almost comes into every conversation.
Yeah.
He's doing great work in the state government now in the innovation department and trying to get innovators as much money and help and support as he possibly can.
So he's tapped you on the shoulder and said, Ash, come on, it's time for you to step up.
It's quite funny. So we're sitting next to each other at West Tech Fest, and I had this napkin idea where, I love HIA, REWA, UDIA, Property Council, where you dress up in a suit and all that sort of bits and bobs. But I thought, wouldn't it be cool if there was a place where, people could go in shorts and a shirt with a backpack and create cool ideas and work together? And it just seemed in WA that was missing. So I sort of this napkin idea of who would be in this place. Be the innovators that'll work together, and then it would be some industry that come in and can pull in these ideas. And I was sharing it with our table, and Charlie was next to me, and he said, you should talk to Jeff, who's on the stage talking about raising money. And Jeff Leach from JJ Leach Group, they own a few buildings around the city. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I should see Jeff. So the next...
Probably some empty floors in the city at that point in time as well.
I thought I'd check it out. Let's see, right? So the next morning, I emailed this, inquiries at JJ Leach Group or whatever it is, thinking I'm never going to get a response.
Junk mail.
Yeah. And the next day, Jeff's PA calls me, and I don't actually know who's on the phone. And I was at Rotto because it was at West Tech Fest, and you finish at Rotto, and the music was going, and it was really loud. And she said, do you want to do like a pitch deck to what you'd... And I said, sorry, love, I don't have time. Just send me an invite and I'll come along. Yeah. And then it kind of clicked as in, JJ Leach Group. Oh, yeah, this idea. Oh, probably should have put some more effort into that. Bugger. But I put these 4 pages together, and I saw Jeff and his son Christian, who now leads JJ Leach Group. And we were talking. And by the end of the meeting, I think we knew that we wanted to do it. So the next day, Christian showed me a few different buildings and some options and things like that. And we came across 110 William Street. And it was all set up, level 2, had all the office desks.
So it's Westpac building.
Where Westpac was, opposite Underground, it's that building on that corner. So really good location. If the innovators don't drive, they can get a train, walk in, off they go. We shook hands just before Christmas and we said, yep, let's give it a go. You can quote me on this. I said, I don't know if we can do it, but let's give it a go. So then January 14, the year after, I bribed people to come with pizza and beer. There was 14 sort of innovators, industry, 8 signed up. And I said, okay, that's good enough. Let's have a crack.
What was that first membership offering in the
That
first?
was
I mean, obviously,
2
most of these people had their own offices in the first place. I would have
So
thought.
you could have a full-time desk for $500 for
Yeah.
6 months, right? Which is pretty good. Or you could just be casual for $250. And I said, we'll probably put some events together and we'll figure out what the benefits are going to be. But if you like the idea, sign up. They said, okay, well, at least it's all on the table. You're being pretty honest.
Yeah.
We don't really know what we're going to get, but we'll pay.
Unlike most startup fintechs where there's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Pretty blunt. I thought it would be this great place where everyone would come every day and we would think about ideas and we would build them together and everyone would sit by side. And after the first couple of weeks of being open, no one was really coming in. And I thought, okay, well, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let's put an event together because if I put food and drinks on, people come. So we did this showcase and we had Sandra Brewer come and officially open it. We had over 100 people come. We had about half a dozen innovators on the stage sharing what they're all about. And I got to the point that we got to get our innovators on the stage, sharing what they're about to a room full of people or to an audience of some sort and make those connections happen. And since then, that's just what we're about.
It's not just one office now, is it?
No. So from there, we did a great deal with Liberty. Liberty is now a major sponsor. They have several locations around the city and Joondalup and opening more. Our members can actually go into all of those offices and utilise the space, as well as we have 17 offices all now around the metro and regional WA.
So most people listening here would go, look, Proptech sounds really cool.
Yep.
I think I've heard of a couple of these companies, which we'll talk about in a minute anyway. But I'm a real estate agent. I'm a developer. I don't have abilities to write code, or I don't have an idea about creating a new app. But I want to help. I want to be a part of it. I like to be involved. Can I be a member?
Yeah, absolutely. So they absolutely can, and they can see all of our innovators on our homepage. We put them there. They can scroll through, and maybe there's some that they don't want to go to the website and fill in a form. So they want to come to us and then say, look, let's sign up with you guys and then introduce me to all these people because we want to pull them into our industry, in our company, and get some competitive advantage.
I'm sure there's a membership fee. You got a couple of different levels of membership.
It is. So it's $888 a year, and then you're basically involved. And the reason why we do 888 is infinity.
Yeah.
So Perth being number one, these guys lasting forever, building something special, and that's what it's all about.
I love it. So let's have a chat, I reckon, about some of the businesses that are members and clearly starting to lead the way. When I scroll down the list, I see a number of businesses that I recognise straight away, some of which I use here at Strategic, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
And many I've seen around the traps. So we can run through the list quickly and then we'll go into detail a little bit more. Realty Assist, Open Negotiation, Real-Time Conveyancer, Vault RE, your Asset Report, Scantech, Archistar has been around the traps a bit. You think, hang on a sec.
ProcureCon.
Udrew, yep.
You know, there's some exciting ones on
I've seen
there.
Stash a little bit coming through now
Stash,
as well.
Absolutely,
Percy, Rent Finder Inspector, different levels of success here, obviously. Pexa, obviously, massive.
Big billion-dollar company.
And you've clearly got some members here that have been around a lot longer than the hub, like Domain and CoreLogic. It's great to have their support too.
It is.
Look, the list keeps going on. The Property Tribune, obviously we've had that on the podcast too.
Yes.
Tell us about some of these better success stories you've seen so far.
Well, you mentioned Realty Assist, one of the first ones. I think that's a great success story.
What does it do for everyone listening if you haven't used it?
So the great concept I like to share is, say there's some owners out there that don't have too much in the bank, but they want to renovate their house for sale. They can go to Realty Assist, get 20-30 grand, spruce up the place, and then sell the property, and then Realty Assist get their money back at settlement, and the homeowners would probably get a bit more from the sale price because they've been able to do it up.
So it's like a lending facility that's tied to the house and you pay it back on settlement.
Exactly.
Sounds very simple. Why haven't other people been doing that?
So simple. Such a great idea. Their growth in the last 4 years has been absolutely enormous.
Look, as a settlement agency here at Strategic Settlements, we see much more prevalent these days, especially the last 12 months. A lot more of our clients have that line item of, oh, make sure we pay Realty Assist back at the end of the day. A couple of years ago,
Absolutely.
not so much. Now we're seeing it a lot.
Well, if you think about, there's a lot of 3x1s out there, and they need some reno work, and the market's so hot at the moment. All they could do is just fix it up, a bit of paint, bit of this, bit
new
of
carpets.
that. Probably get an extra $50,000.
Yeah,
There's
a lot of people out there, I think, who asset rich or getting asset rich every day in the market, but maybe a little bit cash poor.
Yep.
They want to sell, they want to be able to move on with their life, but
Yep.
unfortunately, they look at it and go, oh, geez, I just can't afford right now to do that reno to get it on the market, and I wouldn't want to sell it without renovating it. It'd be underselling the property. That's a real opportunity for everyone listening. Realty Assist,
Yep.
have a look. You mentioned
I think they're
Udrew.
good. Yeah, Udrew's a great one as well. Council approval, you can play around with it. You can do a shed or pool or do an extension in the backyard, see how it's going to look, put all the bits and bobs.
So you draw it
print
yourself,
out.
essentially.
Yeah, so you're either your consultant or your person. So if you're an individual, you can do it. If you're a consultant in the property game, you can use it. Even if you're a supplier, asphalt, want to do a driveway, you can use and you can do square meterage.
So the way I'm picturing this, and I've seen a couple of the demos myself, is that you think about Photoshop, and then you think about Canva. And you go, well, Canva made Photoshop accessible to the mum and dad lay person every day who just don't have those skills, right?
Yeah.
Is that what Udrew's doing for CAD?
You can totally do that. It's a really simple approach for people out there. They can download it and then boom, 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 off they go. And then they can even take it around, so they can print out their Udrew report and actually show it around to the suppliers or the shops that they want to do. Maybe they're not great at expressing what they want or trying to visualize it, or if they do bring a piece of paper and a pen and they try and draw it, the other person's looking blank at them. If they do this, it simplifies it a lot. Procurecon's another good one. One of our prop techs that are in that procurement space, they've got some really big clients at the moment, and then what they do is they've got this fantastic tendering platform. Say there's a big multi-res project, and then all these people can go for it, and whoever's assessing, the procurement manager or assistant, can assess all of these things on an easy to use platform. And it was designed by Andy and Kung, two guys that have spent their entire life in the procurement game, had to print all this stuff out and had paperwork all on the desk, and they've designed a platform that they wanted to use, and it's getting some big success.
We know Rewa likes to invest in a couple of these companies as well. Rewa, big bank account. Yes. They got a lot of money behind them these days.
No debt.
Well
done.
You just look at that and you go, Jesus, there's a lot of money sitting behind that industry.
Great association.
Obviously managed so well by Neville Potsy over a long time to get to that position. And they have sponsored a couple of these companies as investors, right? You were talking to me offline about this Shark Tank that you guys did. Tell us about that and who ended up getting a bit of a win out of that.
Yeah, so last year, it was about August, we had 5 giants, so we call them the Perth Giants. So if you've ever watched Shark Tank Dragon's Den, it's the same sort of format, but the audience was full of investors, and it was like an auction where then investors could get involved. So we had 8 different innovators pitch their ideas. iTrack, who is a partner with Rewa, led by Justin Davies.
He's a real estate agent out in Cottesloe.
Yep, $500,000 on the day, and they got a commitment from Sandy Agee and Ivan Bennett. The other Perth Giants were Lee Piano, Gavin Hegney, and Imran Mahudin.
So let's talk about iTrack for a second. We were talking off air. It sounds like a bit of a Instagram style version of your realestate.com.
Absolutely. So it's kind of that hip, cool, social app where if you like some interests, some properties, you're searching the 5x3s, for example, and you're following them around, then in your feed, you'll just get the 5x3s that pop up. Or if you're looking for specific commercial property and you follow those ones, then when new things come up, they'll pop up and you're sort of notified straight away. And it just looks clean. It looks cool. There's some of the other platforms that you sort of get that red notification or whatever, and then you got to link through, and it's kind of a bit, it's not as sexy, but what iTrack does, they make it really sexy.
There's so many more companies on this list we could keep running. I want to talk about, we use Scantech every day, right?
And ID verification.
People, I think since COVID, have become very comfortable with ID verification as the norm. No one used QR codes before COVID. Now everyone's used to it if we have to.
Yep.
And the same thing with ID verification. Before COVID, every single one of our clients had to come in the settlements team, for example, and we had to sit down and have a conversation verification, and it's nice to meet people, but obviously the efficiency goes out the window. Scantech essentially sends that ID verification straight to the client via an app. They fill themselves in, take a couple of silly photos of themselves, send through the passport, the ID, and it's all done offline, and none of that worry about hard copies getting lost or who's keeping them and all that. It's all put into a secure network, right? A company like Scantech has really changed the game in settlements.
And they're a reputable company. They that's what you do when you want to go into a nightclub. You put your driver's license in. So they got that big market share in the nightlife. They've been around for a long time. And
is that where it started?
That's where it started.
Imagine.
Big market share, 80% of nightlife market. And then they thought, well, let's get into property and do IT verification at settlements. And
very smart.
They hired Zoe, their business development manager.
Yeah, used to be a settlement agent.
Exactly. And Zoe's absolutely fantastic and signs a lot of people up. It's great because the people that sign up get some real value out of it. And I think the people that get the most value out of it is the ones that are doing their ID verification, because they can do it on the couch or wherever they want to do it.
What's the alternative, Ash? It's going into Australia Post and paying double the money to line up at Australia Post and get them to take a look at you.
People are just too busy these days, and the expectation is that you should just be able to do it on an app or on your phone. Less human contact, the better, which perhaps is a sad thing for society, but it's just the way it is,
Open negotiation. That's another one that has been rocking Perth for, I'd say, 4 years, it feels like.
Did a big public offering, rang the bell. A really good thing what can be achieved here in Perth. And just that concept where you can buy a property without even having to see it. Just go on an app, put a price you want to pay for it, and then if you get the price, you win it. It's a really simple concept.
Yeah, it feels like eBay for properties. And there's been a few copycats since then, but I think Open Negotiation's been leading the way for a while. And look, that's a West Australian company, isn't it?
West Australian company. Their competitor, Rezo, is also a member of Proptech Hub. They're based over east. They're both doing great things for Australia. Open's now gone into the Canadian market and has a focus on North America. I hear that they're doing some great things there. They've got a partnership with the Canada-like REWA, so the Realtors Association in Canada, and with their support they can get those listings, and then people in Canada can be buying properties from their phone, and Open can make its money and do well and be a great Perth success story.
How exciting. Let's talk about the future of the PropTech Hub WA. You told me off air that you've got the next 3 years day by day planned out. Where's it going? Where do you hope for this place to be? You obviously said you want us to be the PropTech capital of Australia. How do you get there?
So it's really interesting. So we need an international approach, a national approach, and a local approach. So we need to be seen overseas. So we've got a cohort going to Las Vegas next month, going to be in the biggest North American PropTech conference, which is Blueprint. We plan on going to Singapore, London, and Nigeria on a rotation. Nigeria, some people say, why there? Well, that's actually the gateway into Africa, and it's the largest population in Africa. They have a PropTech association there that we've been chatting with, and open dialogue, and we can take some of our PropTechs over there. Also in October, we've got another cohort going to Sydney for a future real estate conference, and we'll do more things around the nation where we bring our Perth PropTechs over there and then open those to those national and international markets. Because the big thing is trade, right? If we have some businesses that are here in Perth, the local market adopts it, they're going to need to grow because it's too small here in Perth. So they need those sales nationally and internationally to become really successful. They get those sales and they bring those sales back into Perth. It employs Perth people and it creates better products and services for our Perth and WA businesses, which makes us one of the most competitive places that I think will be here in Australia. So our industry can then scale as they want to as well.
Ash, it sounds like an expensive roadshow. It sounds like you need a few more members.
Yes, anyone listening, you're welcome to sign up. And, there's always the sponsor stuff. If someone wants to get involved and really get behind it, that's the people that we want. They see the vision that, yes, innovation's important. Yes, we want to pull this in. We want to be their first client or their small clients, or we're an innovator. And, yes, we want to get into industry and have a crack and be a part of the community. They're the people that we want to be involved.
So before we go, let's talk about December's event coming up. It's 3 months away.
Yes, so we're doing this Perth Giants again, another Shark Tank, and this time we're actually going to host it down in Mandurah, the Mandurah Boating, Fishing and Sailing Club. It's going to be fantastic. There's going to be auditions We're opening it up to anyone that wants to audition trying to raise some capital. The Giants are going to arrive by super yacht. We're going to have local produce, and we're going to see if we can beat 540 grand. And that'll be on December the 5th. It's a Tuesday in the afternoon. And absolutely, we welcome everyone to come along and check that out.
It's still open for sign-ups. Anyone who wants to get involved, who's got a great idea, pitch it to the Giants of 2023.
Exactly. Yep.
Cullum Ashton, Proptech Hub WA GM. Thank you so much for coming in, mate. It's been a fun episode talking about some of the more positive things we're doing in Western Australia, and hopefully we can look back in a few years and go, geez, wasn't it exciting back then? And look what we're doing now.
Isn't it amazing? You know, this could happen. We could be a real innovation leader. Thank you very much for having me on the show. It's been an absolute honour being here, so thank you very much.
Cheers, Ash.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Perth Property Show. If you've only just joined the conversation, you can catch up by heading over to our website, perthpropertyshow.com.au, subscribing to the podcast, or joining our Facebook page. Don't forget to tune in next Monday at 7 a.m. for more expert insights, local analysis, and suburb spotlights. Happy hunting!